Hello and welcome to Sideways. This week we're talking about rituals and how they can be both destructive and constructive. I wear a beret for Easter. Martin has new information about raising your pet as a vegan. We discuss how easily I would beat Paul McCartney in a sprint, and which albums are likely to have been the most popular historically for using as a surface to roll a joint. Thursday the 17th.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter to you too.
It looks like you've got a hat on. Is that a bit of CGI you've got going on there?
Yeah, I thought as it was Easter I'd wear a virtual beret.
Has that got anything to do with Easter?
No, I don't think so. But they didn't have any Easter bunnies or scenes of our Lord Jesus Christ rising from the dead.
Oh right, okay.
I wanted a background of the Garden of Gethsemane.
That would have been nice, but so a beret's as close as you could get.
I figured that if you couldn't have the Garden of Gethsemane, probably the nearest thing to it was a beret.
Yeah, well, I don't see the connection, but I'll go with it. I can't be bothered to talk about it anymore.
Okay. I can't remember how I got the beret, so if it's all right with you, I'm going to keep it on for the entire broadcast.
It's a bit off-putting, but I'll let it slide.
I might be able to sort it out. Just bear with me 1 second, caller. All right, so we're back. I'm back with you now, back in the room.
Excellent. Well, this idea that I'm going to just come on to in a second is one which came up when we were having a sort of an unrelated discussion standing in your kitchen the other day.
Is that right?
So, yeah, I can't remember what we were talking about. Probably football or cricket or something like that.
I suspect so, yeah.
And I can't remember what you were doing at the time, but you referred to it as being somewhat ritualistic.
Yes.
That led on to us saying, we haven't actually done one on rituals, so here we are.
I can remind you what I was doing if it's of any interest.
Marginally interesting.
I was refreshing the starters for my sourdough bread.
Oh, right, okay. Something I would never understand, and quite frankly, can't be bothered to try and understand. But
well, I think you said to me later in the week, I can't remember what we were talking about, and I told you, and you showed no interest in knowing any more about it at that point either.
You probably shut down, did you?
Well, this pointless me expending emotional energy trying to explain it to you.
When it's it's not going to land properly. No, I can get that.
I suspect this is one of the things that we're going to cover in this, which is that the real value of rituals is to the individual.
We might do. But just before we start, you can bring it up later on.
Okay, all right.
But before we start,
yeah.
And do you remember Helen from Australia, who very kindly sent an email? And it was regarding a friend of hers that was attempting to raise their cat as a vegan.
It was an ex-partner, I think.
Was it? Okay.
Was raising his cat as a vegan, yes, but I remember.
Which was it just so happened a couple of weeks later. I was listening to the radio. In fact, it was Radio 2, and there was a discussion on the subject of raising animals on a vegan diet.
Really?
Yeah, and apparently research has shown that a dog's health can benefit significantly from being fed a vegan diet. So Helen's friend or ex, whoever it was ahead of the curve in this matter. So,
I find that difficult to.
Well, I thought so, but I just had to annotate my notes this morning because I've been to the farmers market, and there they had a stall that was doing sort of homemade pet snacks, and there was a vegan option. So there we go.
Oh, I get that. I can understand that. Vegan snacks for pets. Because, I mean, you can make your own, for instance, you can make your own dog biscuits with, I don't know, spelt flour, rice flour and pumpkin and stuff like that. But as for a wholly vegan diet for dogs, I don't know. As I said before, I'll have a word with Daisy about it, but I don't think she's going to be very enthusiastic.
What about Nellie?
Nellie, well, at the moment she's in season. She's right round the twist. I think she'd have your arm off, quite frankly.
Well, I was looking at veganism because I quickly went on and had a little bit of research on that. It's apparently, strict vegans don't take honey either because it's an animal
correct
byproduct, which which is, I mean, you don't slaughter bees, do you, when you're producing honey? I couldn't see the issue there, but perhaps someone will put me right on that.
No, there's something else. I can't remember what someone will write in and tell us. I can't remember what the relationship is with bees, but I think I'm right in saying that they avoid avocados as well. That avocados are not strictly vegan. I think that's right.
All right, because refined sugar comes under that ban, the same as honey. Don't take reject refined sugar. You're going to need explaining to me, really.
And beef burgers.
Of course, yeah. That one's reasonably straightforward, isn't it, to understand?
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Oh, no, it's a myth, apparently. Avocados, almonds, and all other foods listed above, well, obviously you can't see the list above, are perfectly fine to eat on a vegan diet. So,
right, okay.
Avocados are okay for a vegan. So if you're a vegan and you're worried about eating avocados, don't worry about it. That's my message to you on this Easter morn.
Well done you. I think we straightened that one out. Should we get on to the actual subject matter of rituals then?
Yes, please.
Because we recently did an episode on routines. But there's a number of differences between rituals and routines. So I wanted to sort of clear that up before we start. I mean, some of them are a bit nuanced, and some of them sort of feels like they cross over. But I just want to have a quick discussion on that.
That's fine.
When I was researching the difference, it said rituals were basically like doing a daily prayer or a meditation. And a routine was things like going to work or preparing for bedtime. And it was, there's other differences, but basically it was, rituals can tend to break the boredom of a daily schedule, while routines can contribute to the boredom of a daily schedule. Yeah,
when I think about this, I mean, again, you might be coming on to talk about this, and I know how arsey you get if I steal your thunder or pull you somewhere else in your notes, but it seems to me that actually the two things that are particularly true of ritual is, or for me, one, they're something you can kind of complete. You can do them from start to finish, which is quite different from, living many aspects of our lives. Life by its definition is a kind of constancy, whereas the little ritual within them. So if I think of something like, I don't know, making a cup of coffee, I can begin it, I can go through the whole thing, and then I can complete it as well. And there's something very satisfying about that. They're almost like you're creating time within time. This is something that I'm doing regardless of anything else that's going on. I have control over it. I can complete it. There's something very kind of comforting about that, I think, which I think is different from routine.
I think you're right. It's a meaningful activity, isn't it?
It is for me, yeah.
And
most people.
I think routines can be sort of performed without conscious thinking. Sometimes we go through a routine and we're thinking about something else, aren't we? Whereas rituals, you tend to be very integrated into what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's what makes them meditative, isn't it?
It does really, but it requires, I think rituals require more of a careful focus and a presence of mind, where routines sometimes don't require that. Mm. I think, many rituals are harmless, aren't they? Like meditation, or perhaps a daily walk. But if you throw an addictive substance into the equation there, it can be quite different and quite destructive. And it was that sort of thing I wanted to talk to you about. If you're up for that.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
But when I was looking at the research on this, I was looking at how ritual was involved, particularly for those people that have addiction issues. Mm-hmm. Because active addiction, which involves substance abuse as well as drinking, it can be incredibly ritualistic. Yeah. And they tend to fall into three categories. Okay. When looking at this, which again may be something you were going to talk about anyway. But there's a prior to using ritual. There's a ritual during using, which again includes drinking, and the rituals after using. So there's three distinct areas there. I mean, most of the rituals that I've just talked about, those three, are often started by a trigger event that sets the ball rolling. And some of this ritualized behavior is emotional. A drug or an alcohol abuser, and I sort of relate to this really, may purposely work themselves up into a bit of a state of anger or anxiety. So there's a reason to use.
Right.
So there's almost the ritual going through that, getting to that point so that you can tick the box, right, I'm going to go and use now.
How would you have described your ritualistic behaviour when you were drinking?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if we look at those three categories, so we look at it prior to using.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about you, but I really started to buzz when there was a night out was in the offing.
Yeah.
You know, like at the weekend, you know, it would come along and I started to feel this lift of excitement, and it was ritualistic to get myself ready and get ready to go out and to get drunk. There's no two.
So that would be a kind of part of the process that is probably shared by those who have a problem with substance and those who don't, because I recognise that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was Friday night, or it was Tuesday night, and I'd be getting fizzed up about going down the Albion. I sort of mentioned the weekends, but you know, I took it a stage further than that, really, because your mutual friend Yem. Oh yeah,
Yem and I, we actually made up a special day to go out drinking on, which was Thursday the 17th. Right, so whenever that came about, it was a phrase we used to use all the time. Anyway, if people said, "Oh, you're going to can you get this done by a certain time?" I said, "Yeah, I'll get that done by Thursday the 17th." Everything was Thursday the 17th, so we decided that it was a day that we'd go out and get wrecked again, and so we added a new one in.
Well, there's something ritualistic about that.
But there is, yeah.
I might call this episode Thursday the 17th.
But it got extra spice because Yem's birthday fell on the 17th of February. Right. So if that fell on a Thursday as well, that was double bubble.
Yeah, crikey. It was a wonder that you both managed to stay out of A&E on a day like that, wasn't it?
It was very close on a lot of occasions. But it was, I remember, you know, that sort of buzz I used to get. That was when my drinking was heavy, but not sort of problematic. But when it did become problematic, you know, I had a whole different set of routines. And my first one used to be like first thing in the morning, I'd have myself a vodka and orange. And it was sort of rich. I used to call it a mellow yellow in my own head. I was all on my own doing this. And I used to sing the little Donovan song, the mellow yellow, as I was pouring it out, getting the mixture about right, because I didn't want too much orange juice. It's just to give it a little bit of, orange juice is good for you. Even though in a half-pint glass, you'd have a tiny bit of orange on the top just to colour it, and the rest was pure vodka.
So how soon after waking up would you have that?
Straight away.
Right.
Yeah, first thing. That was it, because otherwise, that was often. Sometimes I wake up and be sick first. That tended to be the routine, if you like.
Yeah.
You'd be sick first, and then you can start drinking because
there's a difference between routine and ritual.
Yeah.
Your routine behaviour was wake up, be sick, but the ritualistic part of it was making your vodka and orange and singing some Donovan while you're doing it.
It just reminded me when I was putting these notes together, I suddenly thought, oh yeah, I remember that now. It suddenly came back to me. It's pretty fuzzy memories, but I thought, oh yeah, I remember that. It's awful really when you think about it. But it was just that ritual of putting the bits together in the glass started to make me feel calmer before I'd even
that's what I mean. Step. That's what I mean. When you're focusing on those little steps that you're taking, there's something inherently joyful about that, regardless of where you're going to with it. I mean, obviously some of it is the anticipation, but as you say, it's calming me down already. It's like an emotional drug as well.
It is. And I think most, any person that's had issues with drugs will tell you, and this has come up in groups a number of times, that, you know, you start to feel better, you know, when you've tracked down your dealer, because they can be notoriously difficult to get hold of. And we actually go and pick up the drugs or score the drugs and get hold of them. That you start to feel better already. Mm-hmm. But even before, you know, I've watched the ritual of cooking up heroin. You know, I've seen it happen. I know how to, you know, we've seen it being cooked up in a spoon prior to injection, or you know, getting the foil together when you're chasing the dragon or chasing the bean or chasing the beetle, whichever way you want to put it. That's not chasing Paul McCartney or Ringo Starr.
They'd be pretty easy to catch these days, wouldn't they?
They would be quite slow.
I reckon I'll be able to catch Paul McCartney. He must be in his 80s now, isn't he?
Well, I don't suppose Ringo's far behind him either.
In a three-way race, me, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, I'd be backing myself.
I'd put a couple. If I was a gambling person, which obviously is not not an acceptable way of behaving these days. But yeah, I'd have a couple of quid on you.
Thanks. There's not many sprints that I'd win, but that one I'd be pretty confident.
No, well, should we line that up?
Yeah, well, we can try, can't we? If either of them are listening and they fancy a race against me, I'm up for it.
I don't know if they live in Britain anymore, but we may have to get them over.
McCartney doesn't he? Doesn't McCartney live down in Sussex?
He did at one time.
Yeah. Anyway, there we are.
We've gone off track slightly, yeah. But another ritual, again, those people who have taken coke in the past will know the ritual of racking up. You're racking up your cocaine, putting it into a line prior to sniffing. All ritualistic. And again, it's as the feeling when you're doing that is almost as good as the drug itself.
It's the anticipation, the excitement.
Yeah. And I think some people have found the same, which things like the ritual of going to people go to a crack den, for example, to a crack house, which goes into the next bit really about what you do during it. But do you know some people will go? You've known people that will go into a pub that have probably got a drink problem. They sit in the same place every time. They go there, they'll have the same amount of drinks.
Yeah.
I remember watching this documentary where this guy he ritually had, or routinely had, again, it depends which way you want to interpret this, he would have 12 pints, but he'd have it all in half pints. So he would so he could drink them a bit quicker, and it looked like if he only had half pint on there, it didn't look like he's drinking so much, even though he must have spent all his time ordering.
Yeah.
But that was his routine, and that became ritualistic for him, or having his own half pint jug behind the bar.
It feels to me as if ritual is much more about a kind of process towards something that actually, in and of itself, is enjoyable. Like skinning up.
Well, anyone that's ever skinned up a bit
must
of a
be most people, I should think, isn't it?
Well, a lot of people have done that, haven't they? But it becomes quite an art form, doesn't it? But that is very ritualistic about how you do that and how you put in your weed or your resin or whatever, and your roach, and you'd even perhaps skin up on the same LP cover that you have just tucked down by the side of your chair or whatever. Yeah,
and most people tend to remember who it was that taught them to skin up, don't they?
They do, yeah. I think it's almost like a passing on of the knowledge, which is not wisdom you really want, but yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. The point you make there about the album, because I can remember it was Pat Driver at college who taught me to skin up, and he always used to skin up on a Blodwyn Pig album.
And that was it, wasn't it?
Quite frankly, is the best use for a Blodwyn Pig album in my estimation.
I'd agree with you. You don't want to be taking the vinyl out and putting it on the turntable. It's terrible. But
no,
as a platform for that sort of behaviour.
Caravan, anyway, I imagine, would have been a good album, a good band to skin up on. Caravan, do you think?
Probably would.
Hawkwind. I bet they've been skinned up on a lot.
Perhaps we want to talk to a few record companies and see if they've got any stats on that.
If you on the internet, you can find all sorts of sort of top 50s, top 10s, top 100 best acts of all time. I wonder what the 10 most skinned up albums of all time are.
I don't know, but I think we're getting very close to sort of glamorising it, and so I think we ought to come away from that.
I bet Dark Side of the Moon is one of them. But
it is a ritual. It is a ritual. Now, the rituals you go through, again, for people with addiction issues, the rituals you go through during. I remember, for me, it was I'd sit in the same chair. You'd have a favourite chair to sit in.
What, every day?
Every day, and it would tend to be pretty much the same time. So you'd turn the TV on, and there'd be the same programmes on. That's why when you go to detox, they say when you get home, shift everything around, because you don't want to be slipping back into those same habits that are going to be triggery. So you move the furniture around and make it as different as you possibly can where you live when you come back from that new stuff. Take the habit.
Tell me how you feel about this.
Okay.
Because what you're kind of sharing with us there about your typical day, the creation of the vodka and orange feels very ritualistic, because you are obviously getting joy from that because you're singing while you're doing it. But when you're into I'm sitting in the same chair, I'm now watching the same television programs, that now feels like routine.
Yeah.
Unless I'm wrong, it doesn't sound as if you're getting any specific. You're not getting something specific from doing that. It's just what you do, right?
It is, but it's the routine was sitting in the chair. But there's no real end result to it. It's just making yourself comfortable. I suppose it's a bit like IV users, they're ritually inject in the same place until that vein collapses and they'll move on. But there'll be a ritual because they know they can do it. They can get in there and they'll do that.
But isn't there something in heroin users about I think I'm right in saying that the ritualistic aspect of all the paraphernalia is actually very attractive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, which is
getting all your gear out before you get your gear in.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's just quite a process to go through. But I've watched people do it and see how their mood changes from when they start the whole ritual up.
How does it change? What do you see? I mean, I know I expect it's different for everybody. When you're watching that in someone, what are you seeing happen in them, or what are you perceiving?
I see a mood change. I see a relaxation.
What? Oh, right. Okay. So same thing again, isn't it? It's like, okay, this is what I do. I'm in my kind of safe, happy zone here. I'm beginning to relax.
Yeah, it's moving from anxiety to a level of serenity. Mm-hmm. A false serenity as it happens because it's induced, it's chemically induced, but it's a change in the mood, certainly at that time. And then the process has to repeat again, which is why addiction issues creep in, because you keep wanting to go through that, and it does become very routine and very ritualized, and it just embeds into your day.
Yeah, so it's like other aspects of when you're moving out of addiction, when you're moving into recovery. This is, I think, perhaps one of the reasons why having something else that is ritualistic but positive and healthy for you is quite a good thing to put in.
It is.
Making coffee is actually quite a simple, good one, isn't it? It's like
it is.
If you're grinding the beans and then measuring out your coffee and then putting the water in. I mean, it's all the same sort of stuff, except it's unlikely to kill you.
Exactly, and getting ready for meditation.
Yeah,
settling down, finding if you're using YouTube, going on there or your VR headset, get on there, find out where put your favourite meditation on.
Are you sponsored by VR headsets? Yeah.
No, but I do thoroughly recommend them. In fact, someone else in group has just got hold of one, and they're saying how absolutely mind blowing it is. So,
yeah,
there we go. But yeah, so that's the second category really. We've looked at prior, we've looked at during and after. It's a bit more tricky to pin down, but ritually, I mean, a lot of people, certainly people that take heroin, who have this quick buzz and then go to sleep. The ritual is, gouching out, which is what they've achieved by taking heroin, is to release themselves from society. Yeah, which is going to sleep is an addict's friend because you're not worrying at that time.
Yeah,
and I suppose and I've talked to other people about their rituals after drinking too much, which included fighting, which is or going for a kebab
or a curry,
and some of the time it ends up in sort of domestic abuse as well.
Yeah,
when you're researching this, the rituals after bouts of heavy drinking, especially if England lose or if their team they support lose, then it tends to spike. The domestic violence issue. So there's this sort of a ritual that happens afterwards as well.
Yeah.
A consequence of going through the first two stages of the ritual.
Yeah.
So that pretty much sums it up really as far as the differences between ritual and routines and how it manifests itself in the active addict, which is what I wanted to cover. And I hope I haven't glamorized it, because there's nothing glamorous at all in any of those rituals. They're awful.
Oh, no, I don't think we're glamorizing it. I think we're recognise. I think it's important, though, to recognise that there is an attraction in the ritual, because I think if you don't recognise the attraction in the ritual, then, okay, you might not be glamorising it, but you're also not being honest about it. Addiction issues are difficult to overcome for a reason. And obviously part of it is the physical addiction that you create for your substance of choice, but also it's the emotional connection you make. And, these rituals that are part of addictive behaviour are powerful. And I think if we were to say, there's nothing really in that, then that's, disingenuous, isn't it?
It is disingenuous. And I think that, I'd go on to say that, becoming aware of these rituals is a big step towards a successful starting recovery. Because you start to break it down, you can start to deal with them.
Yeah.
As part of your overall recovery process.
Yeah, and you can also start to think about what you might like to replace them with. I can remember when I spoke about this recently, but when I used to do a lot of work with people, helping them to stop smoking, I used to have a conversation with people about, well, what are you going to put in the, because smoking is very much like punctuation for people. People do it as, I've got a break now, right, I'll go and have a cigarette, or, I've finished that task, I'll go and have a cigarette, or whatever it might be. I've had a stressful phone call, I'll go and have a cigarette. So I used to talk to people about what you're going to put in that space now. Some people didn't need to put anything in there, but for some people, that was kind of an important component of leaving cigarettes behind. And I think there's something in what we're talking about this morning around considering what you might want to put in place to replace some of those rituals that you did genuinely enjoy and felt gave you something. So if you take up sourdough baking, then you can put refreshing your starters in there, can't you?
You could do. I mean, that which is one good option, I'm sure.
Yeah, and you end up with some nice bread at the end of it as well.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think it is. Once you become aware of these rituals, you can intervene, can't you, and break them up, and the replacement, as you were talking about, I think is a very important part of recovery.
Yeah, ritual can also be part of superstition, can't it? Because I can remember when I used to have a season ticket for West Ham. I think I'm allowed to talk about West Ham in this context because it is relevant. Okay. I used to never be able to drink out of my West Ham mug in the morning because I always thought that would give the team bad luck.
It's crazy, isn't it? You think, I mean, a lot of footballers they're steeped in ritual, aren't they?
Yeah.
They put their shin pads on at a certain time in their process of getting out onto the pitch and going out with their shirt off or their shirt on, or a certain place in the lineup. All very ritualistic and superstitious.
And doesn't make a blind bit of difference.
It doesn't make none at all. But it's a level of comfort. And I suppose if you look at the rituals that are followed by the churches or the Freemasons, they're all ritualistic in a way of giving some level of comfort.
It is. It's about mitigating anxiety and giving the illusion of control and constancy where none exists.
Exactly.
They're markers, aren't they, in a life of disparate experience?
They are. Do you know what? It's almost as if you've written a couple of notes this week. I don't know if that's true, but if that's just off the top of your head. But
that one was off the top of my head. I did write a couple of notes because I didn't want you to get after me on bands that I like that I don't have any music of.
Good.
You had a little jab at me in the week. Around, have you got a band for this week, or is it someone else that no one's going to have heard of? I thought, okay, yeah, that's a little bit of a jibe, wasn't it? Really?
Was it a little bit passive aggressive?
It was. Well, it wasn't a little bit passive aggressive. It was very passive aggressive.
I thought we were just having a genuine conversation. I wasn't sort of goading you, but I quite like the fact that it's prompted a bit of a reaction, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I'm more sensitive than you think sometimes.
You're
I had to cry myself to sleep that night.
You are a delicate little flower, bless your heart.
I am, yeah.
Well, we'll get on to that in a minute, but I was looking at ways of, you've talked about replacement for these rituals. One of the things that came up in the research is just about the use of mindfulness, perhaps, also as a way to disrupt the rituals by, slowing down the time between the feelings and the thoughts and the actual action you take out, which is very important in recovery, giving yourself space, especially if you've been triggered, so giving yourself space and time before you actually go and do the dirty deed.
Yeah, it's a good idea because stuff like mindfulness, that having a mindfulness practice is ritualistic.
It is, isn't it?
I bet that people who have a mindfulness practice will find that as they are preparing for it, they start to calm down, which is the point we were making earlier.
Yeah, that's true. So that really leads me on to the gratitude list, really.
Okay.
What have you got for this week?
Well, you go first this week because I always seem to go first.
Okay, well, I've just got down lighter evenings.
That's nice.
And it may have, I don't think we've had that in the past, but it doesn't matter if we put the same thing onto us on our gratitude list, but it struck me yesterday, I think, where, I don't have to pull the curtains so early on and, put the light on. It makes me feel better. Yeah. I like, and it is coming, we're sort of, moving into, spring. or we've moved into spring, towards summer, and I feel better generally. So I'm grateful when the long, dark winter nights are over.
Yeah, I bet there'll be a lot of people listening saying amen to that one. Well, this week I've got reliable tradesmen.
Oh, now then, that sounds good. I'd be grateful if I employed a reliable tradesman.
Yeah, well, this week I've had my front door painted and the porch, right, and the back bifold doors restained because they were all a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And the person I employed to do it was very reliable, turned up on time.
Every day?
Did a very neat job, very good job, cleared up after himself. It took him as long as he said it was going to. I do have just a couple of little nitpicky bits.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if you had someone in your house working, you wouldn't expect them, when your veg box delivery arrived, you wouldn't expect them to write hippie box on it, would you? I mean, that was the first thing. And then the other thing that I thought that was a bit odd was I had the remnants of a bottle of a little box of Peronis in my kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And this particular tradesman had written on the box, devil's jizz. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that you've got a very top quality tradesman doing stuff for you there, mate. And I think the fact that they've helped you out by labelling some of your bits and pieces in your kitchen, I like that guy.
The worst of it was I was plying him with coffee and hot cross buns all week, and that's the way he repaid me, by writing obscenities on my possessions.
Desecrating
I don't know what
belongings.
I don't know what the veg box delivery man's going to think when he collects the box, because you recycle the boxes every week and it's got hippie box written all over it. It's embarrassing, quite frankly.
It is, and I'll confess that it was me that was the tradesman, and it was me that put those little remarks on your belongings.
Yeah. So I'll be thinking twice before I use him again. Anyway, so that's what I'm grateful for. Well,
okay, I'm going to go onto the Spotify search. It's a very quick one here. It's a track by the Smiths, which I'm very pleased to be able to shoehorn a bit of the Smiths in. It's called the Headmaster Ritual, which is all about it's all about the sadistic headmasters in the schools in Manchester in the 80s. But it came off of the album it came from is Meat is Murder. So it sort of goes back into what we're talking about at the start of this about veganism as well. So
crikey, you've created a callback this week.
I have, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow, yeah. That's quite advanced. Well done.
I think it is. So
shame you have to involve Morrissey, but still, there we
are. Okay, so bands we like but have never purchased any of their material.
All right. Am I going first?
Yeah.
I'm quite pleased with this one, I am.
Okay.
Elvis Costello.
Oh, yeah. No, I have got. Do you know what? Do we include, I think I've got the best of. Is that's
well, I don't think you can include that. It's not really investigating the artist, is it?
It isn't, no.
And in fact, on the back of that, I've got another suggestion after you tell me what yours is this week. So we'll come back to that in a second if we may.
Okay, yeah. We need to tie this down a bit. It's evolving, isn't it, this particular category?
I think it is, yeah. Go on.
Yeah.
Who have you gone for?
Journey,
is it?
No, I've got Beth Hart.
Oh, Beth Hart. Okay.
Yeah, well, I was sort of transfixed. I saw her at the Rambling Man Festival. She was on the blues stage. And didn't really know much about her, and I was just transfixed. And I thought, she's just fantastic.
She's very good.
But I've never bothered to buy any of her stuff, which is sad, really.
Okay, so here's my suggestion.
Okay.
So we're going through week by week, recognising, actually having to do a little bit of work to try and work out, there's someone that I really like that I haven't got any material by.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting you go out and buy albums by these people, but what I think we should do is when you select an artist, I think we should then, the following week, you should select an album and listen to that album and then report back the following week. So I'm going to listen to, I don't know, I'll probably Oliver's Army or something by Elvis Costello this week.
Okay.
And then next week, I'm going to be able to report back as to whether my kind of liking for him has stood the test of time and whether it was a big miss that I didn't buy any of his material.
It's extra homework, mate.
Well, you don't mind that, do you? You like a bit of homework?
Not really. Oh, I can just pop on Spotify, listen to an album by Beth Hart, and away we go.
But only an album. not a playlist, because I'm trying to move back towards listening to the entirety of a body of work.
I think that's the right way to go as well.
It's ritualistic.
It is. That's it. We've started our own ritual, and it's quite ritualistic recording this on a Sunday morning.
Exactly.
I don't see it as a routine. I see it as a ritual.
Yeah. I don't get excited before we do it, though.
Don't you? I do. I'm bang up for it. I buzz.
Actually, I probably got a bit excited this morning, because that's probably because I've had a bit of chocolate this morning, because it is Easter Sunday, isn't it? Tell you what else is a ritual? I did an Easter egg hunt for the children today, who were both in their 20s. So we do it every single year, and have done ever since they were small. That's a lovely ritual.
It is, isn't it?
I don't know if they like it, but I do.
They're probably all hung over, trying all these bloody eggs that they don't fancy eating.
Anyway, all right. Enjoy your Easter day.
I will, Dave, and you.
See you later.
Take it easy. Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandy-wellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.